Good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, maybe for those of you who are joining us this morning. I'm not sure um, how the screen is for you. Yeah, seems it's okay now. So warm welcome to you all to this daily meditation morning session. Again, it's a delight to be able to share this time of practice with the energy and the strength of the Sangha. I'm Sophie Boyer. I'm calling you from the Alps this morning, right up Geneva, which is quite flooded since last night. So we're really in the midst of water and a lot of rain. So just to say how this hour of practice is going to unfold for those who may join us for the first time or are not really familiar with the setting here, they're going to be a small little reflection, and then we're going to spend a long time practicing formally together, and the session will end up with a space for reflections and questions. So as you know, Sangha Life is offering freely this morning meditation session, and really depends upon your generosity as the teacher as well who come. So I will post on the chat the link for donation when I think it's quite easy to handle for those who are not familiar with this. So just press the button. Okay. That's it. Okay. And really, it's so warming to see some familiar names coming back and some friends as well. Really, thank you very much. So the theme again is entering into fall, and maybe getting, a bit more closely in touch with certain challenges that these season make us experience. And yesterday we started to reflect a bit more specifically on the theme of vulnerability. And after hanging up yesterday and reflecting a little bit more on Alice's question, I really would like to elaborate maybe a little bit furthermore this morning, and getting in touch with what can support the heart and mind, facing difficulties at this time of the year, and the contractions that Alice was referring to. So just as a reminder, I'm just going to read Alice's comment again. If she's okay with this, so she can mention on the chat if she's not. But I think it's okay. So this is what she said. It's difficult for me to let vulnerability shine. I feel a sense of battling inside to urge me to hide it. Thank you, Alice. Do you have an advice maybe to soften those contractions? There are a lot of things in this, but we try to, take out a few things. So how to engage with a situation like this? Because first of all, it's really about engaging, but engaging in very different ways. And maybe the first thing to pay attention to is the inner resources that are available in those moments, and they really might be different at times. So to really pay attention again to what resources are available, when these kind of states arise. Entering into the landscape of groundlessness, as we mentioned yesterday, can sometimes trigger us and really activate all sorts of reaction due to certain conditionings, or past life experience, or just out of habits as well, or just not knowing. So approaching these experiences really require a great sense of care and tremendous patience. And as Alice wrote, this is really about softening contractions here. So as mentioned, depending upon circumstances or inner conditions or outer conditions, we might try different things. For example, if these contractions, they're strong and it tends to overwhelm us and really get stronger than the awareness that is available, and really starts to bring a strong sensation of agitation, maybe one of the things to try is simply to direct attention to something more neutral. Really in a way, to redirect attention to a neutral place in the body, for example. There is this contraction, it feels overwhelming, it feels it shakens the awareness, the capacity to stay there, grounded. So just redirect attention to maybe a neutral place in the body. It could be the sensations in the hand, or the lobe of the ear, for example, and just to see what happens. This slight redirection of the attention is just to help to restore a sense of balance, because it's really what it is about, to restore a sense of balance, facing certain experience. So that's why it's important to be aware of resources, inner resources that are available, because this will really help us to check what is the most appropriate, what is the most skillful, tool to use in this moment to restore a sense of balance, a sense of ground, facing maybe this kind of contraction that goes on with the sense of vulnerability that comes up. It could also, very maybe pragmatic, or simple as just drop this and just going out for a walk, or chatting with a friend, or maybe just saying, if just taking one or two deep breaths can help to restore that sense of balance. It's really not about forcing ourselves, to be with something that is too difficult to sit or to be with. Another strategy that would be to learn, to be with the impermanent nature of these experiences. These learning to recognize that these contractions are not always here. They come and go, because we tend to solidify, when we get stuck in those difficult experiences, they tend to take the full space, and we tend to start to believe that it's always like this. So being very careful about this, and learning to see how is the experience in the body and in the mind, recognizing when they are here and where they are not present. And in that way, it's really about learning to get familiar with those experiences instead of trying to suppress them or to get rid of them. It's really about developing a different kind of relationship with these kind of difficult experiences, and really trust this process. Developing a kind of faith that is based upon the recognition that things are not always the same. that they change again upon condition, and that the more we get familiar with something, the more we have the opportunity to deepen our understanding of it. And at the same time, the less we feed the reactive pattern that has maybe taken place a long, long time ago. And that requires time and patience, because the energy contained in that pattern is very strong. Another way would be to turn the attention to formal practice, like the practice of the Brahma Viharas. For example, the metta practice of loving kindness, the practice of mudita, of cultivating joy in the heart. Anything, all this quality that are designed to bring some space in the heart and mind also in these moments. For example, very pragmatically, when contraction is present, with accompanied with a sense of discomfort or maybe the arising of agitation, whether it's mind agitation or physical agitation, maybe just to bring in that moment, recognizing that agitation is here, and just to try just to bring in that moment a thought of kindness. May I experience peace. May I be at ease. Just bring the thought in mind, just bring this intention, and being receptive to the response in that. Does it help? Does it again brings a sense of balance in here? Yeah. And all in all, in all these different ways of engaging, it's really about learning to respond to these difficult experiences with great compassion. Compassion as an attitude that learn to be with what is. An attitude that is not looking for solutions, but more learning to be with the experience and to learn to acknowledge what is going on. And really, again, to trust that process, to say, okay, it's okay. It's okay to be with these things. They arise because of certain things. How can I get familiar with that? And really here I would like to remember the Buddha's words, on the importance of inclining the mind towards certain qualities like compassion here, or kindness or joy. How we can learn how it's important to rely on this quality. This is what he said. He said, what a person considers and reflect upon for a long time, to that his mind will bend and incline. So we incline the mind towards compassion, and it becomes the inclination of the mind. And this increases the possibility of these mind states to arise. Can be, of course, tremendously helpful in this situation. And it's interesting to also point out that neurosciences has proved this now. It really has been demonstrated by science in saying that they have discovered that the more we repeat a certain emotion or a certain thought pattern, the more the interconnection of neurons, I hope my pronunciation is okay, neurons, for this path becomes strengthened. And they can really build a highway out of a trail that has been here for a long time. And the mind will go more easily that way. That's one of the great mystery, and in some way one of the great miracle of what this body, mind, and heart can do. So I hope these few suggestions bring some food for thought, and also to maybe they are here to be tried. See if they're helpful. When they are helpful, when they are not, and really learning to play with these, and being interested and being curious about what they do. And before we start formal practice, I would like to end with a little text from a French writer or poet. His name is Christian Bobin, and that's what he says. Faced with the most cruel of life, all thoughts sometimes collapse, and deprived of support, it only remains for us to ask the trees that tremble in the wind to teach us this compassion that the world ignores. Put this in the chat for you. Faced with the most cruel of life, all thoughts sometimes collapse, and deprived of support, it only remains for us to ask the trees that tremble in the wind to teach us this compassion that the world ignores. So I invite you to find a comfortable posture this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are. Prepare ourselves to practice formally together. Feel free to just sit on a cushion or a couch or as a chair, or to lie down, to stand up or to walk. The idea is to inquire about what can support us best, awareness, mindfulness. If the mind is busy for half an hour, dealing with pain, what's the point? So just finding a comfortable posture that support awareness, a sense of alertness, and at the same time ease. You're bringing to mind that even maybe of the grayness and the humidity outside, the lack of light, right here, right now, sharing this moment all together is a kind of a safety. I guess we all have a ceiling, a roof upon our head. We're sitting more or less in a warm room. All conditions are here for us to practice together. And again, a warm welcome to the latecomers. Just grounding ourselves in this moment, inviting awareness to land on the sensation of the breath, or what is body breathing, different sensation in the body, or listening to sound, or visualizing. What is appropriate, what is supportive. To cultivate a ground on this groundlessness. Just allowing this heart, this mind, this body to pause. To dwell. In this space. Acknowledging that right here, right now, there is no need to go anywhere, no need to force anything, no need to create any specific things. No need to play any role. No need to fulfill anything. There's just this sitting, or this standing up, or this lying down posture. Sensing the breath, listening to sounds, or this body pulsing, tingling, sense of pressure, lightness. And life expressing itself in many ways. Bringing up some pleasant sensation, pleasant thoughts, pleasant mind states, mood, physical sensation. And at some other time, some discomfort, unpleasantness, difficult sensation in the body, difficult emotional state, thoughts of resistance, thoughts of inner criticism, thoughts filled with greed or hatred. And what could be in those difficult moments, what could be supportive or helpful to alleviate the suffering that causes these mind states, these emotional states, these randoming thoughts, also physical pain. Is there an openness in the heart that says yes also to this challenging moment of experiences? Doesn't mean we have to become passive toward them and let them overwhelm us. It just means that there is a recognition that this is part of human experience. And just to see for oneself is opening to this reality is precisely the place where we take refuge in. This is how it is for me right now. There are just resources to be with that, noticing maybe the changing nature, to see how the intensity changes. They're not always here, neither. Does it require any actions from us to redirect attention somewhere else? All this strategy that comes out of a compassionate heart, a kind heart. Not a heart that is trying to suppress what's here, but just a heart that cultivates balance in opening to what is. Opening to compassion and to kindness as a way to pass a healing balm on wounds, scars. As a way to create new paths, new ways. Filled with love and wisdom. the subtle and warm joys that come out of embracing life in its totality, good or bad. The heart nurtured and warmed by non-resistance, non-clinging, not controlling what's arising and what's passing away. The ease and the peace that comes out when there is no I, no me to defend this moment. Just the sitting, the walking, the standing, the lying down. These dark hours, what is needed to gladden the heart? To alleviate suffering. And as we're heading to the end of this time of formal practice, maybe you open your eyes, just noticing the inner temperature. What's the quality with which this moment is inhabited? There's a sense of a little more spaciousness, groundedness, sense of more balanced within, or maybe not. Just noticing what's here as coming back and relating and connecting with our direct environment in front of the screen. Take the time to maybe stretch the body if needed. The last couple of minutes that remains, feel free to share comments, reflections on the chat, or if you have any specific questions, how we can discuss together. Honoring your own rhythm. Not that I want to force people to engage in conversation and chatting, but it's like to remind ourselves that there is not such thing as bad comments or not interesting comments or stupid questions, and where in thinking that way, it's like we are missing the chance to share our common ground. How does it feel? How does it mean to be human? Thank you, Alice. Thank you. And Thea, you wonder if to the shines contributes to positive mood. Yeah, outer condition, yeah, impact us, no doubt. But how to make the inner shine shiny? Yeah, welcome, Sophie. Welcome, Kevin. Thank you for sharing, Josie. It's a very good comment, Mary. It's sometimes hard not to fall into the trap of forcing my heart to open, causing it only to contract further away. Yeah, that's usually what happens. And this is something that needs to be reminded and certainly to acknowledge when this is what's happening. When this pattern, this habit is recognized in this moment, we are not feeding it. Just with the eyes of awareness, we have to remember that. There's so much of wanting or trying to control things. It's really a learning process for all of us. For all of us. And we need to be reminded of that's why the Sangha is so precious for each one of us. Question? I'm so full of what needs to be done and easily distractible, like the autumn winds and leaves getting blown about. I'm finding it hard to retain focus. I'm quite kind to what? But wondering if you have any other idea. Okay, I may have a little English issue here. I'm sorry, I really do apologize for that. Distractible ATM, I'm not sure what it means. I'm sorry, I would like to respond to that. Maybe I'm so full of what needs to be done. I need to be distractible. You know what is interesting at the moment? Oh, thank you. um, you know, the interesting thing it is what is it that is first is what is it that is acknowledging this? This is helpful because when we see it, there is a part of us that is not taken into that distractive things. And one thing I'm really wondering about here is when you talk about what needs to be done, might be interesting to look a little bit closer of what's driving that. You know, to maybe to recognize the wanting. Yeah, is there wanting that is feeding? You know, this loop of what needs to be done. Is there hidden behind this a kind of an aim or a goal of getting somewhere, of getting something? Sorry, I have to open to the cat. Of getting something out of this. That might be an interesting thing to look at more closely. And because, yeah, exactly. You know, when it is very difficult to connect when there is greed or wanting. You know, just that is not seen and really prevent us from connecting, because we're trying to get somewhere, or we're trying to get something from this moment. So really to pay attention maybe more closely if there are some things like that, hidden, and just, if so, just acknowledging that's what it's happening, and it's just acknowledging what happens. Nothing to fix here. Um, question from Laura. How does compassion differ from pity? Is it acceptance? Okay, apologies for my level of English here. Definitions of these words, I know what they mean, but in English they might have a slight, very subtle difference of meaning than in my own language. I'm not sure about pity. This is what is about compassion. Is really about learning, to be with what is, and this open, a kind of space within, where there is. It's not that there is a kind of acceptance, but it's not. Compassion in Pali is the word karuna. And karuna is a verb, actually. It's not a name, it's a verb. So because it's a verb, it implies that there is something in motion. There's something in movement. So I'm pointing this out because it brings up this idea that in compassion, there is something that is deeply active. And it may sound completely paradoxical with this sentence of learning to be with what is. I know. Learning to be with what is not something passive about, okay, this is like that, and getting completely overwhelmed by something difficult. It's just about recognizing, that this is part of human experience, to experience difficulties, and to see in the moment that something difficult is experienced, is this something that can be done to alleviate, to support, to go through that, or not? And in that way, there is a kind of action. There is a part that is active, but at the same time that does not refuse what's here, that does not try to suppress, that does not deny. There is no attempt to control what's here. I hope this responds. Okay, it's almost time to leave. There are other comments. If there are other questions, I guess this can be recorded, and I will address them tomorrow if I don't see that. Yeah, okay. The session is ending now. I will take the time to review all the comments that have been posted, and if some requires to respond tomorrow, I will happily do so. So in the meantime, I wish you a fruitful day, or evening or afternoon, and find a way to engage more skillfully with the conditions of autumn within and also outside. Thank you for being with us here, for practicing together, and giving strength to the Sangha.